Welcome back, guys, to the Queen of TV channel. I am your host, the Queen herself, and you are the Prince and Princesses. You're either a viewer or you are a subscriber. Either way, welcome. I forgot to mention this in the other one, but I'll mention this one. Yes, there is going to be cursing and profanity. But today we are talking about my top 10 favorite episodes of season 1 and of season 2 combined together. Because, like I said at the end of season 2 finale, there are people that feel season 3 has ruined H2O after everything that's happened in season 1 and 2. So I thought about combining these two together and letting season 3 be a standalone. So without further ado, let's get into the rankings. Ranked at number 10 for season 1 is episode 2 Pool Party, and ranked at number 10 for season 2 is episode 24 3 is Company. Okay then. Pool Party is low on this list because of the fact that Emma and Ricky and Cleo do have a small fight in this, and Ricky does not truly 100% understand what she doesn't fully understand why Emma and Cleo are so unhappy at first of being mermaids. Their life has been uprooted. Things are different. But it's my favorite overall and ranked at number 10 because Lewis finds out and becomes a part of the group. We do see some cool power moments from the girls. Ricky does get her powers. And we see this dynamic between them. Cleo is the glue and the heart of the group, while we got Ricky, who's the feisty strength and the more, enforcer of the group, while Emma is the one who leads the group. And Lewis comes in to as a backup, or in this case, the researcher to help them figure things out. I do like the fact that Cleo wanted to tell Lewis and how happy it made her feel to know that he knew. And I am truly glad that he found out. I'm also glad that they ruined Miriam's pool party. But for me, the reason why it's low at number 10 is because of the disagreement that Ricky had with the other two girls and the literal fact that Lewis could have been given the runaround like Zane got when he was as close as he was to Cleo, like Zane became with Ricky. Now, as for Three's is Company for season 2, the reason why it is low on that list is because every bit of that episode was Charlotte calling the shots, taking her plan into motion. First, she got Ricky to lead the group out of frustration, and then she trapped Emma and Cleo in the pool room at her house as mermaids, and they almost got exposed. Now, what saves this episode is that Ricky stands her ground, is the only one that's not giving Charlotte any room to spread her bullshit. On top of that, Ricky comes in and saves the day and helps out Cleo and Emma, and Lewis ends up abandoning and leaving Charlotte. I'm glad that throughout this episode, Lewis wasn't as happy about the party and that it ended on a happy note. And she did get her repercussions, and her plan did not fully work. So, it's ranked at number 10. Ranked at number 9 for season 1 is episode 16, Lovesick. And ranked at number 9 for season 2 is episode 17, Moonstruck. Lovesick, in that episode, what I liked about that was we saw the bond that Cleo and Ronnie got. We see that Ronnie actually was protecting a dolphin named Jemima. We see that Zane isn't completely heartless. He does care about some things, so they are trying to humanize him in this and show a little bit of growth, but not a whole lot of growth. It is funny they thought that Cleo and Zane would be dating, and how everybody was freaking out over that. And how Lewis literally came in wanting to fucking fight Zane over this. But what I think I don't like in the episode is the same thing that I did like that I thought was funny, which was them thinking that Cleo and Zane were seeing each other. They both were getting flack about the whole damn thing, even though neither one of them were doing anything wrong, and Cleo would not do something like that. On top of that, Cleo literally told them what she was doing, and they just refused to believe her. Now, as for Moonstruck, the one thing I don't like about that episode is that everything was going good until Ash decided to show up. And I love Ash. He's not the main issue. It's just I feel like he should have not been there at the right time. He should have waited, and that Cleo and Ricky should have not told him. But I did like, them trying to have this date and this sweet moment between them. Lewis had come in and protect the girls. Emma and Nash finally became a couple, and then just like the full moon shenanigans, that shit was funny. How goofy they were being and how funny and stuff, and we did see Ash almost find a cigarette, so a lot of good happened then compared to stuff that I wish that didn't happen. Well, and if that stuff didn't happen, we wouldn't have gotten the stuff I liked. So fair is fair. The next episodes for rank 8 is a doozy. For season 1, ranked at number 8 is episode 17, Under the Weather, and ranked at number 8 for season 2 is 3 episodes. Episode 2, Control. Episode 3, The One That Got Away. And episode 4, Fire and Ice. Let's talk about season 1 first before we jump into season 2. I put Under the Weather on this list is because of the whole thing that happened in that episode. How the girls nearly got themselves exposed. How they went through extreme lengths just not to get wet. Only for everything to go bad from worse in an instant. And I think what I didn't like about this episode is that they kept on making it worse when they should have just said that they were faking it, or at least not made it seem like they couldn't have faked it by using their powers to make things worse. Then maybe they could have gotten out of this, but they didn't, and they ended up fucking everything up, and they nearly got experiment on, and somehow they didn't get grounded. And Elliot ended up actually being sick and giving Kim his measles by accident because Kim was being a stupid child and thought to drink after someone who could have possibly been sick. But I think the only thing I didn't like about this is that the girls literally put themselves in danger for no reason when they could have just simply, I don't know, said that they didn't want to get wet or not use their powers at all. They could have used their powers a little bit, not so much extremely as they did. But what are you going to do? You got to live and you got to learn. Now, let's go to episode 2. Now, I know everybody is not going to like the fact that I put episodes 2, 3, and 4 together on this ranking list for my top 10 favorite for season 2, but let me explain. The reason why episode 2 is my favorite is because of this big sister moment we see with Emma and her brother. We also see something else that really is sad. Cleo and Lewis do break up, but in this I understand the breakup, and the breakup makes sense. It's good storytelling, and then we get to see them go through the 5 stages of grief, and we see how that affects them, and we see the trauma it brings in their relationship, and how Lewis easily started to deviate from the girls, and he didn't realize. But when he started to come back and try to be there for them, he didn't know how anymore because he no longer fit the dynamic he used to be in season 1, and now everything has shifted. So he kind of had to figure out his place. So he could no longer be like the guy that did the research. He just had to be the friend, and he didn't know how to just be the friend. So it was hard for him, but he eventually figured out his footing and he got to that point. But I feel like it's good because we can see how the mermaid stuff has affected Lewis and Cliff's relationship and how it's a positive effect and how it can be a negative effect. And I'm glad they broke up after what we see with Max and Gracie and how Max is still stuck in his feelings for Gracie and unable to move on. Even though Lewis too is still stuck in his feelings for Cleo, he does make the attempt to move on and is trying to move on while Max just didn't try. So I am glad for the breakup because at least it shows the differences between the originals than them being the exact same as them. Now, as for episode 3, obviously this is the one time that I can say, okay, I liked Zicky a little bit. Um, and that you generally see that Ricky and Zane do love and generally care about each other, and he is trying to change. Now, as for Lewis and Cleo, I liked Cleo's jealousy thing. I'll say this every sense of the day. That whole damn thing with the plan journal crap, I'm not counting that as to hate her character. Yes, Cleo was wrong of accusing Charlotte of having a boyfriend and burned down her school. But other than that, hey, she was not at her worst. But the secondhand embarrassment I didn't like, but it was good to see that Cleo had, you know, the ability to be jealous, and we see how different Cleo has become and her jealousy tactics if you compared her jealousy when Dr. Denham was on the scene. Now for episode 4, Emma having this wanna be a rebel like Ricky to prove that she can have fun too, because it really hurt her that her brother thought that she was a lame-o. But also, like, we get to see Lewis get judged. Now we've seen Lewis get judged, but Lewis is supposedly supposed to be a pacifist, finally get into fighting somebody. Like that whole thing with him and Nate was really damn funny, but I still don't like Nate. And I'm glad that Cleo and Lewis was having those sweetheart to heart moments. It shows that even though they broke up, they know how to kind of communicate and work things out when they have the chance to. And how she told him that it wasn't that he was a tough guy, she loved him because of his personality. And we see that they generally do love and respect each other. They're just at a point in their lives where they cannot be together. So for that, I had put them up there because I like that type of storytelling. Now for ranking at number 7 for season 1, we got episode 5, Something Fishy, and episode 6, Young Love. Season 2, ranked at number 7, is episode 5. Hold on. Hocus Pocus. Sorry. So let's talk about season 1. Originally on my video when I did this top 10 list for season 1, I said that was episode 23. Yeah, no. Episode 23 is my least favorite. There's nothing positive about that. I was kidding myself. But episode 5 and 6 are my favorites for this very reason. Episode 5, we got to see what would happen if the secret did come out, and we did see the girls get very creative. Yeah, we see that Cleo did something very stupid, but at the end of the day, they figured it out and made it work. Miriam got embarrassed. Well, you got to see what the Missy Queen pageant is. We got to see Cleo actually like stand up and have some type of confidence. You know, she would clap back sometimes at Miriam. But more than that, they really thought Lewis was a merman. I wish it were true. Damn. That made me feel great. Tiffany winning at the end of it. Yay. And on top of that, just like it was a fun episode and I loved it. You know, it's a great standalone. And then for like Young Love, we get more into like Ricky's story. We kind of figure out why Ricky's such a hard ass. It's because she's not used to people liking her. People have never liked her before. So when somebody likes her, she don't not handle it. She feels um boxed in. She gets anxiety from it. And this was like a whole thing in the comments where Elliot was like, showing signs of being an essay abuser. I had said that that wasn't true because it wasn't a sexual attraction. It was more of a romantical attraction. And he literally was like 11 years old with a crush. And once that he did get shot down, he had to accept it, you know. And he, yeah, the way she went about it, it hurt his feelings, but were able to have a heart to heart and work it out. And we do see that Elliot is sweet and nice, so he would not say that that means that he wouldn't be that type of guy. But we can see that Elliot isn't stupid and he can learn from the word no if done correctly, and at least he got explained to why things were where it was. And it did make Ricky like happy though, you know. At the very end we saw her swim back for the dolphin he bought her, and it put a smile on her face because Elliot was like the first guy that generally was so nice to her. And it felt good, you know, that she finally had somebody who appreciated her and didn't just outright hate her. He thought she was an amazing person. So at the end of the day, at least this was like our like Ricky episode. And the fact that Emma and Cleo were shipping him and Ricky. If only Elliot had been older, you know. If only Elliot had been around the same age as Emma, to see that Emma and Cleo thought it was really sweet that Elliot liked Ricky like that. Like they were technically shipping the two of them. If Elliot had been older, they would have worked out. But Ricky was way too old for him. There was no way society would have accepted their relationship. So let's get into our sixth rank. Ranked at number 6 for season 1 is Dr. Danger, episode 25. And for season 2, episode 8, Wrong Side of the Tracks. So what I liked about the episode Dr. Danger, like I said before, the build up to how the villains find out about the secret, mistakes are made, everybody is not in the right headspace. Cleo is worried, but Lewis tries to reassure her everything's fine. Lewis naively believing that Dr. Denham is not a danger yet. Lewis and Cleo being together, how happy it is, and we seeing that Zane and Ricky having this conflict, this mermaid thing, and how far he's willing to know the secret. Seeing how Harrison is willing to go through nothing just to destroy Mako Island. How the secret easily gets exposed. How the girls are in danger. Like we see the stakes get raised high, and this happens in the penultimate. Like, nah, I can't say that word. It happens to the like very near end to the finale, and it's always like the episode before the finale, and it delivered because you are sitting on the edge of your seat. You know that everything is starting to go wrong. You're worried for the characters, and you're wondering how they're going to get out of this now the secret's been exposed. Now for ranked at number 6, for season 2, on the wrong side of the tracks, we see that Charlotte's back up to her shenanigans, but Lewis and Cleo, they do get affected, not by it as a big issue, but like it's like almost a tiny issue, but like at the end of the day, it doesn't work. We see Ricky's dad for the first time after being mentioned in season 1, but not really being shown. We see their relationship and their dynamic. We see how Zane and him actually work through their differences. Ricky's able to finally embrace her home life. We see where Ricky comes from. We know more about her. We see Cleo and Emma, even though they don't like Zane, they accept Ricky's happiness and how they allow this thing with Zane to happen and how they're more supportive about the whole thing. This sweet moment of the contrast with Lewis and Cleo, where Charlotte had to tell Lewis that she was cold for him to give her jacket, only for Lewis to just look at Cleo and just hand her his jacket. Like it is like sweet moments all around for everybody. Like everything good is happening in this episode and not anything bad. But there's episodes better than it. So let's get into our top 5. episodes. Ranked at number 5 is for season 1 is episode 4, Party Girls, and ranked at number 4 for season 2 is episode 13, Moon. Episode 5, ranked at 5 is episode 11, In Over Our Heads. Okay. So as for Party Girls, we see Cleo stand up for herself, trying to live a normal life, actually refusing to let the mermaid thing take over. We find out about Gracie's locket. We meet Miss Chatham. We see the feud that's about to begin between Ricky and Miriam. Lewis is getting his footing in with being his researcher guy self, but also like Cleo proving that she is capable of being a mermaid and is able to keep this secret without any problems. She faces them head on, and at first, yeah, she got a little assistance from Miss Chatham, but then after that, she figured it out with her own wits. We see Miriam get humiliated. We see Zane get humiliated and kicked out, kind of. But also seeing that locket over Cleo's neck felt really good. And then we get this mysterious moment where Miss Chatham tells Cleo that maybe she'll be alright, meaning that something must have happened to Gracie. And we all sitting wondering who is Gracie until we get to season 2. And it makes you more intrigued to want to know what happens next. Now, let's talk about episode 11. This is the episode in season 2 where Lewis has to prove his loyalty. We see the repercussions of what he did in the last episode, how the girls no longer trust him and are so blindly willing to trust Zane. Yeah, Emma does have her suspicions, but Cleo is all gung-ho about it. Ricky is jumping at the chance at it, and we know why Ricky is. We see how financial situations are handled differently in Ricky's house than we've seen compared to Cleo's. We see Ricky and her father have more pride in how they don't ask for help and how they see asking help is like a form of charity, and they just feel like they have to beg for help just to get by, and that's just not who they are. And we see how that affects them greatly. I feel like this is like, oh my God, something bad's about to happen, more than what we got in Fish Fever with Emma in the next episode. In this episode, Ricky is very injured, and we see that and we witness that, and we're actually scared for her. And we see Lewis show that, yeah, he has loyalty, he comes through, and he truly does give a damn about Ricky because he runs to save her life. Once the moment he hears that she's hurt, he don't hesitate. He's like, I'm going. And when Charlotte tries to stop him and try to demand him to stay, again, he doesn't hesitate. He's like, no, they need me. And I told you they need me. And he bolts. He does not have a second thought. He is on his way. If Ricky's hurt, Lewis is coming. And I fucking respect that. Because that means that, yes, Lewis made a great mistake. But he showed he can make up for that. And yeah, that still doesn't fix the strain that now is on him and Cleo's friendship. And that continues until they make that work. But Lewis did come through, and he's willing to put the work in to show that he is loyal. And he sees where he was wrong, and he's trying to now make it right. And at least now, he isn't fully in Emma and Ricky's big books of forgiveness, but they are slowly going to warm up to the fact that he is still there for them, but they're going to not be fully trusting of him, and that is totally understandable. But they will get to their point as well. Now let's go into the fourth ranked. Ranked at number 4 for season 1 is episode 7, Moonspell, and episode 18, Bad Moon Rising. And ranked at number 4 for season 2 is episode 13, Moonwalkers. So, for season 1, Moonspell and Bad Moon Rising, like there were some things in there that were pretty funny, and we did find out some stuff. We finally saw in episode 7 that how chill like Emma can get when she doesn't care about everything going right and being a perfectionist. We can see her actually have fun, and it's exciting, it's funny. We see her just chomping down sardines. We see that kiss between her and Byron. And then, we have that funny scene of Zane and Miriam being stuck together. How Emma just sat there and ate all that food. All them people left starving. How she made fun and joked about everybody. We we do get some funny moments, like with Lewis saying like what he responded to Cleo's question to Ricky about what happens if Emma's stuck like this forever, him saying that they can always put her in a circus. So, like, just good all around. Episode 18 is another Ricky episode. We see that Ricky is, like, heavily affected with all the secrets and how hard it is for her and how she's more open up on the full moon. We finally see her pyrokinesis and how out of control it can get. We can see what happens with her powers in different stages. She can boil things at the same time as popping popcorn, causing the teapot to go off without even being plugged up. Like, we see the feud between Miss Chatham and Lewis and how Lewis doesn't like Miss Chatham helping and he feels like they don't need her, and how she humbly handles Lewis because she's experienced all of this, which is one thing I don't like, that whole feud between them two. But yeah. Hold on. Ooh-wee. Now you cut the light on. I'm getting a little tired. So let's now get into our ranked at number 3. Ranked at number 3 for season 1 is episode 12, The Siren Effect, in episode 24, Love Potion. For season 2, it is episode 14, A Get Off My Tail. So for season 1, the siren effect, like the mysterious siren moon that Cleo somehow remembers everything that happens and they don't explain what happened, right? We also get the moment that Lewis and Cleo kiss and we find out they both remember said kiss. We also see how dangerous it would be if any of them were sirens and how it went over Cleo's head. But we kind of understand it because Cleo wants to be like loved and really enjoyed the attention she was getting, and how she got so easily sucked up into it, and why, like how fame can change a person, seeing how she changed so much when a bunch of people started liking her, and how her whole demeanor changed and how she was willing to allow it to happen. Then the love potion. We finally see Clueless become a thing. We get a conclusion to Emma and Byron, and we see Ricky and Zane being more pleasant with each other. Obviously, the only thing I don't like about this episode is the fans like getting mad at the girls for being mad at Lewis for ruining the dance because they thought, oh, he was trying to help. But the girls were more focused on the dance. They didn't really ask for his help. Lewis just obliged to it. We see Lewis having to come to terms with the fact that he can't solve this by analyzing everything instead of just going with the flow. Now, he doesn't fully go with the flow. Well, he does, but too much of. He doesn't really find that balance yet, but he does by the time season 2 comes when that imbalance starts. But it's good because we do have a lot of good things that happen, and this is more of a Lewis episode because Lewis has to understand that he can't just fix everything. He needs to accept the fact that things are the way they are for a reason. Now, let's talk about episode 14. Did I skip over episode 13 for our rank 4 for season 2? I believe I freaking did. My apologies. Let's talk about that real quick and what I liked about that episode. What I liked about episode 13 was how the girls were able to manage to handle themselves better on the full moon despite Lewis's help, and they acknowledged that even though Lewis did help, they did figure out on their own when things went wrong. I liked the fact that the girls using their powers against Charlotte, trying to get her from the island, and then Ricky coming in to help Cleo when Charlotte won't leave her alone and is standing in their way. Then that whole thing with Lewis thinking to spit chocolate milk on her. Spitting on people is not nice. You know, it's not nice. But I hate Charlotte enough to where I don't like her to care about that. So yeah, only thing I didn't like about that is how Charlotte ended up finding the moon poo. That's the only thing I didn't like. And I didn't like that Lewis brought her out there. But just like the whole shenanigans that was happening and how Charlotte wasn't fully getting her way, and we do see the girls like show that they are resilient and they can handle themselves well in situations like this. Now let's talk about episode 14 for rank 3. What I liked about this episode is we finally get to see Cleo and Lewis become friends and be friends, spend time together. Lewis doesn't tell Charlotte, and even though I think that he should have, but I understood why he didn't. I'm glad that he didn't, because when she found out, he stood his ground. He's like, look, we're friends. Okay, and I don't think I need to tell you when I hang out with her. And she had to accept that. But not only that, we see how Ash like is so humbling in front of Emma, and we do see that Emma's actually jealous. Not just the fact that he got the job that she wanted, but seeing him being flaunted over by all those girls rubbed her the wrong way. We see that they generally do like each other and have like feelings for each other. They both do make mistakes in this episode. They both do, kind of accept the things the way they are, apologize, and just make it work. So they're perfect for each other. They're compatible in ways. But I am really glad that Lewis and Cleo had that sweet moment together where we went out fishing for that bait, and how Cleo really handled herself in this episode and how Lewis handled himself in this episode. So it was really good. Now let's talk about episode that I ranked at number 2. For season 1, ranked at number 2 is episode 1, Metamorphosis, and season 2, ranked at number 2, was episode 25, Sea Change. Now, Metamorphosis, perfect introduction episode to the entire show. Not only do we know who all our characters are, but we also know where they stand. We know right off the bat that Cleo is the more calmer, softer, like trusting, naive type. So we know she's the glue that holds the group together, because she's the reason why they end up becoming friends, all three of them, because she's the one that introduced Ricky to Emma. We got Emma, who we can see is the champion swimmer, but she's like the person that's the most perfectionist type. She's reserved. She's the leader. Ricky's slacker, laid back, go with the flow, wild child. Zane the bully, Nate the lackey, Lewis the friend who's willing to do things whether or not he's asked. So we know where everybody stands. We get the introduction of the powers that they have. We don't get Ricky's introduction until the next episode, where we see Cleo get hers when Zane is threatening her and Lewis, and how protective she becomes, and how she's a force to be reckoned with. And how easily she does her powers. We see Emma discover hers, and how the girls just come together and say that it's a team. They accept the fact that they are mermaids and they are ready to go head first in it, even if they're not fully as happy about it. Now for Sea Change. What is there not to like about Sea Change? Okay. Leo finally reaching her limit. We see it. We see the depression state that she's in. This episode solidifies no return for Charlotte after she attacks Cleo and takes her locket. How we see more unhappy that Lewis is. How once Cleo goes missing and Lewis finds out the truth about Charlotte, the way that he handles that breakup, he's like, the fuck out of here. Like he's done. He reaches his limit. He breaks up with her. It's a done deal. It's a wrap. We don't give a damn about Charlotte crying, but we know for a fact shit's about to hit the fan after we see her use her powers and how she reacts, and she's like gunning for Cleo at this point. More so than what she already has. We see Lewis and Cleo get back together. We see Cleo go from being isolated to her being alone, to her wanting not to be near anybody, from her to damn near become shark bait. Max redeemed himself a little bit by helping Lewis out. Lewis finally seeing that he belongs with Cleo and that Charlotte is like bad news. He's so done with her manipulation, and it's over. She's not the girl he thought she was, and he's done trauma bonding. So, yeah, it's number 2. So, what's number 1 for season 1 and season 2? Ranked at number 1 for season 1 is episode 26, A Twist in the Tail. And for season 2 is a double number 1. Not only is season 2 episode 1 Stormy Weather ranked at number 1, but also episode 26 Unfathomable is ranked at number 1 for season 2. So let's talk about season 1 first. Everybody is standing in their seats. The girls have been kidnapped. Lewis has been kidnapped. Zane finds out the secret. He knows everything. He has to do the right thing. He teams up with Lewis, saves the girls. The girls then have to decide that they have to give up their powers. And before they do, they have a badass fight. And they go out like badasses. Then the next day happens and they find they're still mermaids. And they solidified. No one messes with mermaids after they have to show Lewis not to keep any secrets from them. We say goodbye to Miss Chatham. We say goodbye to Zane and his dad for the time being. And we see the girls not only accept that they're mermaids again, but we see that they actually grew to actually care about them being mermaids because they do miss some things about what they could have done. Emma may not be able to swim again, but she'll miss riding the waves without a surfboard. Cleo will miss making water do anything that she wants, finally having some sense of conquering her fear against water. And then Ricky just missing all of it. Just every single bit about everything that they did as mermaids. Leading up to the confrontation with Dr. Denham and her men thinking they finna hurt them. They showed them the business that day. So let's talk about season 2. Stormy Weather. Oh my lord. What child. Not only do we see the full moon is not playing, but we see when the girls are on the full moon, they ain't playing. They ain't afraid to use their damn powers on people. And we see them do that numerous of times. They are no joke. When they tell you leave them the fuck alone, they mean it. They damn near killed Lewis. We see how the dynamics have shifted. Not only have the girls gotten more dangerous, but Cleo is now petrified of what they are capable of doing. Emma is trying to hope that they can gain some kind of control. And Ricky is going with the flow, baby. Ricky is ready for the change. And Lewis is out of ideas and does not know how to handle this situation. So everything is about to change. Everybody's about to change. Not only is there stormy weather coming, but there is a stormy new type of way the mermaids are going about things. And boy, was it a wild ride for 26 episodes. So let's talk about the finale, the 26th episode, the unfathomable episode. After everything they went through with Charlotte, everything has come to head. This is the final showdown. Charlotte tries to attack the girls, and for the first and the second time, Ash finally finds out the secret. Charlotte gets her comeuppance. She realizes that she is no match for the girls. She ends up getting her ass handed to her and ends up losing her powers. Not only has she lost her boyfriend, but she's lost her powers, and she finally has to accept the fact that Locket no longer is hers and never will be. It is Cleo's because it is returned to its rightful owner. Not only that, but she tries her best to get Lewis to come to her side again and try to give her a second chance, and he's not having it. Lewis is braver, more confident, more wiser. He knows his footing. He doesn't need to be the researcher guy no more. He is just Lewis McCarthy, the best friend and team member of Mako. So, hey, nothing else matters. And Charlotte has to walk away with her tail between her legs, coming to the show thinking her and Lewis had a future, only her to finally accept the fact, what future? Because his future is with Cleo. Clueless 100%. And she has to accept it. She also went through all 5 stages of grief. Not only did she go through denial in this episode about her and Lewis not being together, she also was angry at herself for the breakup, but even more angry at Cleo. We see her like be all sad about it and upset and hurt she can't be over Lewis in the previous episode. But like even in this episode without any tears, we what was the other stage? We talked about grief, we talked about anger, we talked about denial. I forgot the other one. But I know that she fully came into like learning how to accept it. She hasn't accepted yet, but she'll slowly have to come into acceptance, and then it'll be like a rinse and repeat. But we don't have to worry about seeing that because she is gone. And that is the end of our episodes, ladies and gentlemen. I will link all the full episodes for the episodes for season 1 and 2 that I ranked as my favorite. And I hope the rest of you guys have a wonderful day. Have a blessed day. If no one has told you that today, I'm telling you, I love you. Let me know what you guys thought of these episodes. What are your top 10 list episodes? And I will see y'all next time because I think today, even though it's my off day, there is only going to be 6 videos today. So we're going to wait on those character videos for our main characters after season 3, but we're going to go on into the next video. Bye, guys.